Team, today we have a roundtable discussion with myself, Meg, and Isabel as we talk about parents. Yes, the three of us are all parents. I'm the newest joiner to this club. And today is all about an authentic sharing of what that experience has been like, specifically around our health and our fitness. We talk about some of the myths that we had heard becoming parents. We talk about some of the not so good things that we'd said before becoming parents ourselves. And I think this is just a good old fashioned open sharing conversation. So if you're a parent or you're thinking about becoming a parent, you want to stick around for this one. Isabel and Meg. Oh, here we are recording another episode on the Process podcast. What do the three of us have in common?
Nothing.
Actually, we have lots of things in common.
I think we are in our 30s.
We are all in our 30s.
We all work here.
We all work at Coastal Fitness. Okay, but yes, you're scooting round the actual fact, which is that we're all parents, guys. And that's what today's conversation is all about. We are talking about the myths, the stigmas around parenting.
Specifically in the fitness industry.
Specifically in the fitness industry. And I think not in the fitness industry, but specifically related to health and fitness.
Right.
So I think we're going to start with this. Meg, you are a parent. How many children do you have? How old is your child?
Well, child, yes, I have one. He is 3, almost 4. So almost 4 years old.
Isabel?
Yes, I have one daughter. She is 2.
And I have a son who is, I think this is his 10th week of life this week.
That's incredible. It's gone so fast.
Crazy fast. Okay, so I think context is important because I think as soon as parents start talking about health and fitness, without knowing the context of that person and what they did before, very hard to compare. And I think the point of today is this is a very real, authentic, honest sharing of what we have experienced, what we dealt with pre-babies, post-babies. But I think the context is important. So I think I would like to ask you, Izzy. So before Isla came around, what were you doing? What did life look like pre-baby?
Yeah, so I was, and I say this to everyone who asks, obviously Isla was unplanned and I was at the peak of my fitness ever. But right before I had a baby, I was so excited to do the CrossFit Open. But I didn't that year because
I remember
was
you
pregnant.
did the athlete camp, though.
I did.
You did the pre-open athlete camp.
Yeah, that was in December, was it? Or the January?
I think it was Jan, yeah.
Yeah. So Isla was conceived in December.
Wow.
So I did the athlete camp as kind of my last shebang. And I was like, I'm not going to do the Open this year. And I was very disappointed, but also very grateful. But she was just unplanned. But that was like, I've never been that fit or confident in my body. I think that's a big disclaimer that I'm not afraid to say as well.
Yeah.
Was there ever like a temptation for you just to be that pregnant? Well, no, because it was still pretty close. Like you would have been still first trimester, right?
Yeah, which is why I
Junior
didn't
Open.
do it. Because it's most
The risk
sensitive
factor, yeah.
in that, and I'm not the type of person that can not go all out. And I didn't want the reason I lost the baby is because I did something that was not going to be a significant moment in my life, you know. So that's why I chose not to do it.
Got it. Meg, where were you at?
I'm trying to think exactly. I thought I was at my fittest I had ever been. So I was also enjoying CrossFit. I'd done a semifinals that year. I was loving it, having a great time. Mason was planned, but he was a lot quicker than what we assumed it would take. So we fell pregnant pretty quick.
Mark's a sniper.
Yes. Let's put it that way. So it was planned, it was intentional, but it was a surprise still. Like we didn't expect that at all.
You were coaching.
I was coaching. I was a full-time coach. Mark and I were in the process of moving out of Abu Dhabi. And we were going to take a few months sabbatical. So we were actually going on leave like for a few months to kind of travel and do some things. And then that kind of changed all our plans.
Love it. Well, I think for me, I mean, listeners of this podcast will know about me and my story already. And given that Mika's only 10 weeks old, this is very recent. Mika was planned, but I was very much at a point in life where I was so ready to become a dad. I was not a sniper. it took us a lot longer than we had expected.
Yeah.
I thought I'd be a one-shot kill guy, but ended up being, I think it took us over a year and a half of
Yeah.
trying. And then, yeah, I guess where I was at in my life, fitness has always been a big part of my life, but I very much let go of like the competitive side to my fitness. And, you know, I was very much going through this kind of like health, and training was more of a means of supporting me and my other priorities in life, mainly being business. But you know, being a great husband as well. Those are mainly my two main priorities. So I guess that's very different in compared to you guys, is that
Yeah.
you guys very much had athlete hats on.
Yeah.
I'd already kind of like let go of that, and kind of like, I guess that almost ended up being like a perfect introductory preparation for parenthood, in the sense that like my training volume wasn't very high. I was training, you know, 60, 75 minutes. I wasn't training very intensely. And I had these other big priorities outside of training that I was pouring probably more energy and time into.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's a context. Is I know you have kind of researched a number of like stereotypes
Yeah.
or stigmas. What are they?
I think just ideologies behind what fitness should be. But I think before we get there, things that I wanted to do. Well, I think, okay, the context was important because we want to just say for people who are listening to this, a lot of people who listen to this are fitness enthusiasts because that's how they know us. But if you are a parent or trying to become a parent and you're not, fitness isn't already part of your life, like it's our viewpoints are a bit skewed because we've always had fitness in our life, whether that was childhood or whatever. Like it's always been so important, and we understand that that's why it's so important to us now and why we prioritize it. Whereas if it's not part of your life, it's easy to overlook it. And I think becoming friends now with mums who didn't have a background like mine, it's so easy for me to see like, wow, fitness is not normal. You know, like
It's not routine.
it's not. For some people, going to the gym twice a week is their win of the week. Whereas for us, it's just so normal. So like, I think just taking what we have to say with that viewpoint of like,
this is our industry.
exactly.
Yeah, I also think that, you know, when life gets hard, you fall to the level of your habits.
Yeah.
And I think for all of us, a lot of our health and wellness, because we're not just talking about training, we're also talking about nutrition and mindset and like all those other things outside of the gym. We've been doing this for so long, and it's such a part of our DNA and our identity and just who we are as people, that I think a lot of us have, or all three of us had a lot of those habits deeply ingrained. So these are basically things that are on autopilot that we don't even think about. And so, yes, you're very right. Like the context of this, if you're someone who's listening and, you know, you're right at the start of your health and wellness journey, throw a child into the mix and then trying to figure that out. Yeah, that's challenging.
It's challenging, yeah. So before we get into like the myths or ideologies that we kind of want to bust, that we went through, I think it's been funny because Ed, for people who know, like was my coach for the last 6 years before I had my daughter, and through pregnancy as well and postpartum. And he's also my boss, you know, who I went through like maternity leave and newborn, all that kind of shit. And it's like only now, 10 weeks in, I only for the first time I've asked Ed 2 days ago, was like, so have you ever like thought about the things you said to me and now think like, wow, I'm a fucking asshole? But I didn't put it in those words. I said it in a way nicer PG way. But like that was basically the gist.
You know, you're
of the
supposed to say the PT way. You're supposed to say the PG way for the podcast, and you're supposed to be honest with me in that.
Well, she knows now. It kind of the conversation would have gone well, so now she can say it how she actually wanted to say it.
Exactly. And I think that's like a funny way to bring these up because like you guys are coaches, but you weren't always parents. Like you're a new parent, and 3 years is still relatively new. So it's like looking back, if you could go back, and the reason I'm also saying this is because as a mom, still now, I've gone back to friends and have apologized to them who were parents for not being there for them because I didn't understand what it was actually like, or for like judging them, or, you know, like saying stupid shit like just bring your kids, you know, when it's like, I'm not fucking bringing my, are you kidding me? Like those kinds of things. And I think putting into the context of coaches, like, and for other coaches who are listening who aren't parents, like what are some of the stupid ass shit you've said to parents that you've just now know is like, what the hell? That does not make any sense. Ed, you go first.
There's a lot. I think I got to look at different buckets. I've got to look at.
I want to know how that conversation.
Firstly, my Well, okay, we'll talk about that first.
Yes.
I I had said yes, like I deeply empathize with what you were going through at the time. Um, but it having seen Izzy go through it and the way she handled it, and she was just doing the best she could at that point in time,
Mm.
also was really helpful to me because, basically I think where that conversation came from was that, at the time I kind of like Izzy had basically like kind of shut a lot of people out, including me. And so, we were still kind of trying to work together and, and to work well together. Communication is something that's, the cornerstone of a relationship.
Mm.
And basically kind of, I felt like I got very cut out at that point in time. And obviously, like, I'm not a parent. I don't really understand what's happening, but I wanted to understand. I think
Right.
that's the difference. It was like, let me in and tell me, like, what are you dealing with? What is hard? So then I can support you. And I think I can totally understand why Izzy shuts people out. Like, and the context of what you were going through in your relationship as well. And your birth wasn't pretty straightforward. Like, it was tough.
Yeah.
So I can understand fully why you did what you did, but it also really made me and Cami realize, like, okay, we're now experiencing a lot of those things now as well. But thinking back to what people in my circle, and it's not just you, I've had friends and other people, in my life do very similar things. I then was able to make a choice and say, okay, how do I want to show up for the people in my life? Do I want to do that, or do I want to try to do something different? So it actually served me in lots of ways. But yes, the answer was 100% get it now. So when I think about like what are some of the stupid things I said that I regret now, my first ever client as a 20-year-old was someone who just given birth. So like she was like 6 weeks postpartum. So like a pretty challenging
Yeah.
first client. So I think about the client bucket, and I've coached, I think, over 20, I'd probably say over 15 women through, pre and postpartum. So pre-pregnancy, pregnancy, and then like the recovery journey after. Honestly, some of them I just by luck got them through, and just by not doing really stupid things, returned them to full health. I do remember other things. I like distinctly remember one of my clients who was actually one of my old PE teachers at school, who she had, like a 4-inch diastasis. So like, big separation of abs. So she came into me and said, can you help me get back? I was like, yeah, easy. I've taken like 3 women through it. And I
Oh,
remember
good.
like session 1 doing like, we were doing planks or something. I was like, it's just core training. You just need to get your core stronger. And I remember basically advocating a super low carb diet. Because she was like not happy the way she looked, and basically going into like all the wrong things when it came to like repairing of diastasis. Anyway, love her to bits. Great relationship now, but I think she fired me after 3 sessions. She didn't even fire me. She's had a package that basically expired.
Oh.
But I think things that I have said that I regret, and I don't know these are word for word, but like how hard can it be having a child? In my head, like I had this running joke that it was like, just tape their mouth and they'll shut up. And obviously, I didn't actually want people to take their mouths, but I'm like, just tell them to be quiet and they'll be quiet. I'm like, or it was like, doesn't your wife just feed them when they go to bed?
Yeah.
Like, why can't you come out with the boys and, have dinner? Definitely thinking
Dead.
about,
I'm actually
definitely
dead.
thinking about timing. Like, we talked about it before, so I don't want to steal your thunder, but,
Yeah.
clients
Yeah.
not being able to make sessions
Yeah.
or being very particular about a certain time that they can
Mhm.
train. Obviously, like feeding windows, sleeping windows, baby schedule, that becomes a priority. And I was like,
Just come at like, what?
just
How hard
come
can
at
it
1
be?
p.m. How hard can it
Yeah,
be?
it's like I can only fit you at 1 p.m. Why are you not making this happen?
Or, guys, you have a helper. Like, that's something I've said. You have a helper. Can't your helper just do that thing?
I think you've said that to me before.
I said, she.
No, the training thing was for me. It was like, you have to make team training at 10:30 because it's a priority. And I was like, but I have a baby. She's my priority.
She can train too. Just bring
Just
her
bring
in.
her to the gym. That's
Yeah.
another good one. Just bring your baby
Just
to the
bring
gym.
your baby.
Yeah, Meg,
Yeah.
jump in.
Yeah, no, I remember, I'm sure I've said a lot of careless things or things that I haven't thought through or didn't just based off of not being in their shoes or really fully understanding. But I remember specifically when I was working in Abu Dhabi, which when I was in Abu Dhabi, we weren't parents. And then we got pregnant and we left Abu Dhabi. But I really wish I could go back and just speak to all the moms that I used to train. There was like a moms group that I used to train, and and just be like, I'm so sorry that we didn't understand.
Well, but what did
So
you,
there were,
anything you said in particular?
yeah,
That,
so there were, they would train, it was like an 8 a.m. class, and this thing, school drop off was like 7:30 or something. And there was so much traffic between where they would drop their kids and like getting to us for 8. And I could not for the life of me understand why it was so hard to not drop their kids 5 minutes earlier or 10 minutes. Like, why can you not make class on time? This is a class you're committing to. I just was really unempathetic with them running in late to class, and the punishments were like 5 burpees per minute they were late. It was like really ruthless.
no, we used to do that.
Yeah. Just like no empathy whatsoever. And also along the lines of like pelvic health. I remember that same group of women really struggling with double unders and skipping. And it would always just be like, okay, well, anyone needs to pee now because in the workout, you're going to waste your own time. And like, there was no like in my mind of like, okay, well, how am I going to help them get through this? It was just like, well, this is what you're dealt with now.
I just listening to you say that.
Yeah.
Definitely. I had clients who were, had remote programs. So like basically do at home programs.
Yeah.
And they would come in and be like, I didn't get my session done. I'm like,
yeah,
how hard can it be?
Yeah.
In 30 minutes, I haven't even given you equipment. Like, surely just like find a bit of space and just do it.
Yeah. Like, what the hell's going on?
And they would say like, you don't understand. You don't have a baby. I'm like, oh, come on. It's not that hard. I could distinctly remember multiple conversations that I've had. And then, fair play to them that they stuck with me and probably just gritted their teeth and like, this is an uphill battle.
All these things that you're saying though, I think I've heard Ant say in like the last 3 weeks.
Just put him on a kettlebell.
Yeah, just attach him
Ant
to a
says it
kettlebell.
to me.
Yeah.
About nothing child related. So I never pour my like child related challenges on Annie because I know what the answer is going to be.
He just comes out with them. But everything that you said that you're laughing about yourself, I'm like, you just sound just like Ant.
Okay, well, hang on, Izzy.
Have you said anything?
What about you? You're sitting there like you're a bloody saint and angel. Like,
I've never been a coach, so like I've never had the opportunity to say things like that to other people.
Did you have any friends that had kids?
Yeah, so I think, but a lot of it was work. So like at work, I wouldn't understand like why people wouldn't answer because I'm always on call, but then I wouldn't understand like, okay, why between 6 to 8 people weren't answering their fucking phones or they would shut off. Whereas now I completely understand that's bath bed time and that's your 2 hours alone with your kid. Like, do not answer the fucking phone, So something like that. Or like, why in the morning, if I'm awake at 7 a.m. and on the emails, why aren't you on the emails? And it's like, oh, because I don't have help till 9 o'clock, or the school doesn't start till 9 o'clock. So 5 to 9 is just me trying to survive this morning chaos and getting to work in one piece. Like, I'm not going to start work early, So I think those are the certain things where you realize those little pockets of time are so important to people and like why people prioritize that for their kids because that's all they have, right?
Yeah.
So I think
now becoming a parent, because I'm very aware of this, right? I'm aware that maybe like people like Ant, I'm just gonna say Ant. I can see when I'm explaining maybe why I'm 5 minutes late or like why I don't know,
his brain,
really struggling
his
today.
eyes are rolling.
But I can see his eyes rolling, but I can also understand because I was that. And I'm like, okay, how can I explain this so he can really understand, why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling? But it is really hard to do. Like until you actually have a kid, it's like,
there's nothing else like it.
I start explaining it, then I just start feeling like I just sound pathetic. I feel like I'm making something. The way that I'm saying it makes it not sound challenging. Like it's a really easy thing to do. You know what I mean? Oh, just settle your child, hug him, swaddle him, and he'll be fine. I'm like, no, I mean sometimes it's great and it works, but
it never works.
70% of the time it doesn't.
Works.
Yeah, and then I think another thing is like, but what's wrong with him crying? And I'm like, there's so many things that relate, but that's one thing that I say. What's wrong with him crying? Like crying is a form of release. It's how they self-soothe. I'm like, okay, cool, but when the baby cries, mum's hormones get like massively triggered. I'm like, I never knew that.
Yeah,
this crazy connection between the two of them that she can't bear to see him crying. It's like killing her inside. Which is what I had to learn in our relationship. And it's like, I don't know, Mika's cry is loud. Like he didn't get voice projection from me. Like he can really project his voice, and it's like can be like pretty mind numbing sometimes, and kind of drive you a little bit insane.
No, it 100% does.
It 100% does. So it's so triggering.
But it's still, even now as toddlers, that's their now is the whining.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's hard for people not to understand that it's like, it's so triggering.
So
The whining is so triggering in the sense that you just want to like explode and like
rage filling.
yeah, and that's the same as the cry. It's just like you just want to do anything to make it stop, and you cannot just continue on what you're doing
Mm-hmm.
until the crying or whining has stopped because that's the only frequency in your mind is
Mm-hmm.
all you're hearing is that, and it's so hectic and like I completely understand that unless you've experienced it with your own child because it was crazy because so my sister has two dogs and totally different, but like when I was with them over the holidays, I was like, "I'm really sorry about the whining," and she's like, "I don't even hear the whining," like
Mm.
because they don't hear the frequency that you hear, and it's the same with her dogs. She'd be like, "Billy's pissing me off right now." She keeps whining. I'm like, "I didn't even hear Billy's whining." It's
Mm.
like
Yeah.
You're in
you
tune with your
exactly with your
with your
child,
Bubba.
and it's like that's how strong the bond is. It's like
Mm-hmm.
you're paralyzed until they're okay,
I think
basically.
I also have to say that being a dad and being mum's very
Completely
different.
different.
There's been, one of the biggest challenges on our relationship is just me trying to really understand
Yeah, how hard it
and
is.
Cammy trying to be understood
Mm-hmm.
of what it is that she's going through. That's something that I'm not experiencing.
Yeah.
And as a dad, a lot of us return to work quite early. I think I took 2 days off and then had a weekend and I was back in. And so there's just a lot of time windows in every single day that you're not around, mum and baby. And there could be things that happen only in the day that, you then come home at night and you're trying to kind of catch up on everything and figure out, what did you experience? What did you learn today? And then some of those things are just kind of inexplainable. Like it's a hormonal thing. It's just deep down inside that it's like, I'm getting triggered. I'm feeling really upset.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on this emotional roller coaster, like, crying uncontrollably, don't know why. And what's been so good for me is it's been hard. Like I've had to really just slow down, ask more questions, and just really listen, really seek to understand because I want to understand. And I have learned so much about mums,
Mm-hmm.
which has made me really empathize so much more with all my female clients, just women in general, and look at every mum differently, including my own,
Mm-hmm.
to know that it's like, wow, you went through this, like, fair play to you.
That's 100% what I was going to say. So I remember, I think it was sometime in the first like 2 months of having Mason that I couldn't believe that this is how hard it was. And people told me, didn't believe them, but but also how every parent has been through this. I had this like epiphany or awakening of like every parent that I've met has been through this or is going through this right now. And they're all struggling their way through their day and they're trying to figure it out and they're stumbling through this and they have no idea what they're doing. And my empathy and my almost just like awakening to like what people go through behind closed doors that we probably have no idea
Yeah.
just like grew buckets.
Judgment
Yeah.
for me has changed so much.
Yeah.
It was like, what? Something happened. I was with my friends the other day. We were in a restaurant just having a beer. This is a couple of weekends ago, and there was a mum, dad, and he was a toddler
Mm,
on the next table, and the toddler started just like wailing and crying, and then two of us on the table were dads,
mm,
three of us were not, and the three who were not, you know, turkey necked,
mm.
like
I was like, shut
whip
up.
their heads round, death stared this child and the parents, like full judgment on the parents as well.
Yeah.
And then came back to table. It's like, oh, I hate it when
Oh
parents
God.
can't control it. But I was like that sometimes. I'd be that guy sometimes on a plane, where you sit down,
Those
you
poor
hear a wailing baby,
parents.
and like, I'd be that guy that's slowly turning around,
To
just look at the baby for a second, and then just return to my seat.
yeah, because that's gonna work.
Sometimes it does. Sometimes though, when you lock eyes with a little baby, just stare at them intensely from 3 rows back, they're like,
Does that
gonna
work with
work.
Mika?
doesn't work with Mika.
So
But I was that guy,
Yeah.
because and the judgments that I'm feeling, it's not judge. Well, it's like you judge the baby. It's like, wow, like you're just so naughty
Mm.
Yeah.
that like you're not listening to your parents. Like you're a bad child. You're going to be a troublemaker when you're older.
parents are failing in parenting.
And then it's parenting. Yeah, like
Yeah.
how can you guys not control your child?
Yeah.
And I don't know where I read this, but it was around the whole idea of empathy when I was going through, my deep self-help journey. And they basically, in one of the books I was reading, were talking about this scenario where you walk onto a bus and you see a mum and her two children, and the two children are wailing uncontrollably and throwing a tantrum, and mum's just sitting there looking into space. What do you think? And the first thing I said was, well, yeah, I'd be like, control your children. You're in a public space. You're now disturbing lots of other people. And then basically the book went, okay, now rewind that. The same thing happens. You now ask the mum why she's not doing anything about it. And she tells you that their father and her husband just died in
Mm.
hospital. How do you now feel? And I was like, whoa, I feel like a
Yeah.
complete asshole for judging the shit of that woman. And reading that book already massively changed this concept of judgment for me. I would say I'm a very unjudgmental person. I used to be very judgmental,
Yeah.
but now having had a child specifically around parenting and children, my level of judgment is like, I assume nothing.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And, you know, just assume the best, that they're
Yeah.
trying their best. And it's like,
Yeah.
It is. It's like I used to, before I became a parent, there was a huge list of things I'm never going to do as a parent, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
like never going to use screen time as like a distraction, or I'm never going to give my kid candy,
Mhm.
or I'm never going to
Yeah.
yell at my kid, or I'm never going to do this and this and this, until you're in the moment. You're like, oh yeah, I fucking get it. Like
Yeah.
if I just need to wash my hair, I'm going to put on trash truck for 5 minutes. You
Yeah.
know, it's like there are things that you need to have in your arsenal, or it's like, oh, if the only way to get her to get on the bus is to give her a lollipop, I'm giving her a fucking lollipop.
Yeah.
You know, there's just like
We got
these sort of
places to go. We
things.
got things to do.
Yeah, like the I'll never do this as a parent thing is just
Mhm.
not a thing.
See, I
Yes.
think I'm not really at that stage yet because
Mm.
Mika's still like, he's in
Mhm.
that newborn phase. Although the other day I probably did it for the first time. I love my I love like nighttime rituals with Mika. I love putting him to bed and having like our quality time. What that normally looks like is, you know, I'll bring him into our dark bedroom. I'll pop my Kindle up and then just kind of like, you know, slowly rock him to sleep. And then when he sleeps, I'll kind of just like read until I really feel like he's totally zen. The other day, I really wanted to watch the highlights of the Six Nations at my phone because we're like clocking in, clocking out when they fall asleep to keep his sleep schedule on point.
Yeah.
And I'm like looking at my Kindle, I'm looking at my phone. I'm like, I shouldn't do this. I don't want him to have a bright light in his face. And I'm like, I gotta watch this. And so I started watching it. And then as soon as I turned on the highlight, it was like, welcome to England, Wales. And Miki went, boom, he like shot up. He got super scared. And then I could feel that I could just see the light in his eyes, and I just saw his like it like possessed him. But I was like, oh no, I said I'd never do that.
Yeah.
And I kept on doing it. I just watched the whole game. I watched the highlights. And I'm like, you know what? I think I can have just this one night. This one night where I break the rules a little
Yeah.
bit. But so I think I've got a lot of that to look forward to.
Yeah.
And it is a piece of advice a lot of parents give me.
Yeah.
It's like you can have all these like
Yeah, you have to be flexible.
yeah, exactly.
You just don't know what's gonna work though.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Yeah.
but I mean, like, when we look at ourselves, when I look at myself, it's like we give ourselves grace to be
Mm.
flexible. I mean, not everyone does. Some people have a hard time with it.
Yeah.
I know I'm in a place in life for the last few years where I do give myself a lot of grace. I don't hold myself to rigid, hard standards. And therefore, like, yeah, he deserves the same as well.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's get into these myths,
Okay.
guys. Did you write them down, or do I need to get
You
them?
got him.
Okay. So, where is my list? I can hear my child calling mama. Okay. The first one, being fit as a parent is selfish.
Woohoo! I've got a really good saying on that.
Go.
Well, it's more about having your cup full or having your cup empty, right? So doing things that are gonna take your cup and fill it up is definitely going to make yourself a better human and make yourself a better parent, make yourself a better person. As soon as that cup starts to come down, you're gonna end up being a worse friend, a worse parent, a worse person to be around. So I think if fitness for you is something that's gonna fill your cup, I think it's the least selfish thing you can do. Yeah.
I 100% agree.
Yeah.
And I posted about that exactly a lot. But I definitely think that the form of fitness has had to evolve
Mm,
because of I need to be more selfless because of this new thing in my life.
right.
So maybe this is why like I'm grateful to not be in that chapter of trying to be an athlete, because you know trying to be an athlete and then reducing training time from 2 hours to 30 minutes, you know, like those two things don't go so well. Whereas for me, I was in a chapter of life, or I am in a chapter of life where like I just want to move, and if that means the 30 minutes of, you know, some body weight stuff at home,
Yeah.
because of all the things you said, you know, really for
Yeah.
me, it's not, I'm not trying to build as much muscle or get
No.
as fit as possible. Like, I just know that dedicating, you know, 15 minutes at least to, you know, some form of physical movement in life, it makes a massive difference to my mental health and my physical health. So I'm happy that I'm in that chapter of life. So that has been, I've had to really shift expectations on that because I do feel, And the selfishness is not just for Mika, it's also for Cami.
Right.
Right, because it's like every minute that I'm away from home means that she has a responsibility and she has to take that all on herself. And this is more on like weekends, when we don't have help. We're in a very privileged position, I think all three of us, where we have help at home. Many people listening to us won't have that.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like, well, I kind of look at it and I see Cami, who has, as a mum, massive responsibilities for the child. She has to do so many things that I can't do. Um, and I know she wants to train. I know she would love to, you know, roll out the house and take a 30-minute MTR ride and then train for an hour and come home, but she can't.
Yeah.
And so I definitely feel that it's like, I definitely feel some guilt as well around leaving her. And therefore for me, I'm like, okay, well, I could on a Saturday, leave home, do a 60-minute session in the gym with the team, but it's like, actually, you know what, I'm just going to do, I'm going to try and nip out for a 30-minute run, or I'm going to do something at home. And
Yes.
so it is, I definitely feel it. I definitely feel that. And I feel that more towards my wife and my partner versus the baby.
Yeah. I love that. I think you hit the nail on the head with that, about saying that it does need to evolve and need to adapt. And it comes down a lot to the support system that you have. So when Mason was about 5-6 months old, I was solo parenting for a few months and we didn't have any help or support. But I was very lucky that my parents were nearby. So I had a little routine of in the morning taking Mason to my parents for 2 hours because I was at the time planning to go back to semifinals. So I was like, okay, Mason, we're going to go to grandpa and grandma's house and we're going to sit there for a few hours. I'll be right back. And then I would go and train and then I'd come back and pick him up. But that was the support structure that I had allowed me to do that.
I would also add just to that, I'm very lucky that we had this conversation very early on, right? And I mean, Cami knows me better than anyone else, and she knows how important fitness and health is for my mental well-being, and it's what enables me to be, to do this for my job and to show up for her, and to have solid mental health 99% of the time. And so, when all this happened, and the conversation, because the first week is pretty rough. Like, really very little training happened in that first week. And it was like, okay, once the kind of like chaos has settled and the dust has settled, you start to think about trying to create routines again. And like, how do we make this a little bit more normal? Because this is not sustainable, what we're currently doing. And also the baby's evolving. So like he's constantly going through different chapters almost every week in this newborn phase. And we just had a really honest conversation, which was, I would love to be able to keep training in my life 5 days a week. It doesn't have to be 90 minutes. It can be 30. I'd be really happy with that. And she appreciated that in order for me to be able to show up at home and be as present as possible and help her, that she gave me the grace to do that. So I'm very lucky that she supported me. There's never been resentment where she's kind of held it against me or said, you get to do this and I don't get to do it. So yeah, I think in that sense, I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
And I think that's just such an important dynamic in a relationship to make navigating what is a really challenging, especially for new parents. I'm sure it changes when you've had your second and third. Such a key ingredient, which going back to you we spoke about this the other day, is, as a single mum going through this, not having that support network of someone else to do that with you. That's really, I think what I said to you was like, made me empathize even more. There's like, wow, this is challenging with two of you doing this solo. That's just a different beast. So yeah, hats off to you.
Thanks.
And still crush it.
I think it's something I still struggle with. Like in my mind, I still do think it is selfish.
Wow.
And I battle that with myself a lot. When I came back into training, I only started 3 days a week and it was very quick. And I still remember after the open, specifically, Isla came and watched because when we were doing it at that time, she needed to feed. So it was as
I
soon as I
remember that.
jumped off the pull-up bar, she was on my boob on the floor,
I actually have a video of, I think I was really sick for that last workout, did that thruster workout, and
Yeah.
Isla's there in the background with her
with her head
big
probably.
Yeah, I
earmuffs on.
remember that.
So it's
cute.
like, it's that and still my journey back even to today, because like you said, and it's not that it's easier or harder, but if she was with her dad while I was training, I feel like I would feel less guilty.
Right.
Because she was spending time with someone. Not that her gel is a part of our family and loves her, but I still feel guilty if she's with her helper and
Mhm.
not with a family member.
Yeah.
So it's like when we go to the UK and she's with her grandparents, I
Mhm.
have no issue being like, I'm going to the gym for an hour, I'm going out for a run for an hour, you're staying with grandma and granddad, because I know that's cherished memories as family that they're doing together.
Yeah.
But now, and this is honestly a big reason why I've stopped my marathon running, because I would feel like I'm out running for 2.5 hours, 4 days a week. What the fuck am I doing?
Yeah.
Like, and for what?
Yeah.
Like, that's time taken away from my job or spending time with my daughter, which are more high priority than me for this. And it's like, it's a give and take. Every time you add something, you have to subtract something. There's only 24 hours
Yeah,
in your
you
day,
can't do
right?
it all.
Exactly. And so it's like, I do find it selfish if you are not giving enough time to your child and choosing to train on top of other things that fill your cup.
Mhm.
Like, I know there are things in your life that need to fill your cup, but
Yeah.
for example, like,
If your cup is full.
exactly, if you're doing all of these things within the day, like, you're working all these hours, then you're doing the after work drinks, then you're, um, doing other like, watching that movie, and then you're doing the training, and, "Oh, I haven't seen my kid all day," like, that is what's hard for me,
Mhm.
like, there's this balancing that still needs to happen, and that's a tug of war that I still go through. Like, if I wanna train for high rocks, it's like, okay, I how do I subtract things that aren't time with my daughter so I can still do that? And I think that's still the tug of me doing those things, and
Yeah.
when I was training for the marathon, like, that was too much. Like, I still wanna do stuff that challenge and enjoy me, that don't require me to add extra time of training into my day that subtracts from time either from work or with my child, like, because doing drop off, doing pickup is super important, and I had to cut those out in order to do the other things. So I can fully understand why people would be like, that is selfish, because if you are doing all of this excess in subtraction of the reason you had a family, then I do understand why that people would think that's selfish.
But I think that's an important, what you just said there at the end is very important
Mm.
because, again, this idea that going to the gym is selfish is actually quite a judgmental statement because it assumes that every person has the same intention behind having a family.
Yeah.
Right. And I think we probably share very similar beliefs and values around the time that we want to spend with our children. We want to be present
Mhm.
parents. We want to be a part of their lives as much growing up. But we also, want to be hardworking parents and we have careers that we love. And so, but I also know there's parents in this gym, around the similar ages to Mika who don't think that way. It's like, well, we have the means to get help to basically deal with all those things. And we're happy to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not judging them for doing that. We all
Different.
have different, yeah,
Yeah,
different
priorities.
Yeah.
priorities, different goals and different beliefs on how we want to raise children.
Yeah.
So yeah, I certainly what you said in the marathon was interesting because you've actually never explicitly said that.
Yeah.
Mm.
But it's something that I think about because as soon as we finished the 10K, everyone's like, so what's next? Are you going to go for the marathon? And I was like, I'm not willing to spend 2 hours a day to train for a marathon. My old mentor, remember, he was hell bent on getting me to sign up to an Ironman. I was like, I have no interest in spending 3 hours in a session training because that's 3 hours that's pulling me away from
Other
Mhm.
things.
all the other things that are really important to me. And so I love my fitness goals right now because I can get all of that done in an hour. And a lot of them I don't actually need to be in the gym for. I can just step out my house, go for a run down the waterfront and be back home within 40 minutes. So
Yeah.
yeah, I very much resonate with that.
Nice team. Okay. Next one.
Crushed it.
Shit.
um, if you can't go all in, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I disagree with that massively.
A lot of people are
All in
like
on
that, like,
fitness?
or just like you can't do the full sessions. People are like,
Oh, yeah.
I can't make it for 60 minutes, so I'm not gonna do anything.
I just think that that is a mindset around health and fitness. So what's really interesting is that I've been working with AIA for the last year and they just conducted this massive research project. And the whole idea was to basically figure out in Asia specifically, what are the main stereotypes that people have around their four pillars of health, and that being mental health, physical health, environmental health, and financial health. And the biggest stereotypes around fitness were really interesting. And one of them was that fitness has to be this all or nothing approach, which basically means like you're either all in and you're crushing it or just don't do it at all.
Yeah.
And there were lots of other really interesting stereotypes. And when I learned about this, it really made me look at my own life and the content that I put out into the world. And I was like, am I feeding these stereotypes
Mm.
by just putting out the highlight reel of what I'm always doing and how effortless it feels? Or am I actually helping to challenge these stereotypes? And that was one of them. So I think that is something that very much exists. And it's what stops so many people starting, because they see the world of health influencers or people in the fitness industry who are training every single day. They're really strong. They look amazing. They've got morning routines. They've got night routines. Their nutrition is spot on. And it's like, whoa, that's like, I'm so far away from that. I'm never going to get there. And therefore they just stay in their
They don't do
comfort
it
zone.
all, yeah.
But I definitely think within, becoming a parent, why that's even more exasperated is because you got this added stressor to your life, which means that, your energy's less because you're sleeping less. Decision making is way harder. You've got less time to even put towards this stuff. So I think that stereotype is just magnified when you become a parent, because you got so little time for anything else other than, looking after the baby. So I think I completely disagree. Like the way that I always look at it is, if you're currently doing 0 minutes of intentional movement in your week, which is actually a lot of the population of this world are doing 0.
Yeah.
Doing 5 minutes is 5 times more than that.
Yeah.
So start there. It may feel so insignificant, but start there. If you're currently doing 1 hour once a week, if you can increase that to 1.5 hours, like that's huge. That's a 50% increase on what you're currently doing. And then, like we always talk about it, it's exactly how we coach people here. Like that next goal, that next milestone needs to be right in front of your nose. It needs to be so attainable. We use this 9 out of 10 analogy, right? When you commit to saying you want to do something, if you cannot do that thing 9 times out of 10, don't do it. Don't even bother, because you're probably going to fall. You're probably going to fail, and you're not going to achieve that thing. So we say with the peak performance program and all of our personal training here, when we set goals, every 6 to 12 weeks, like, okay, well, let's figure out a way for us to achieve X goal. What are we going to do? I'd like to increase my sleep to 9 hours. Okay, awesome. How many nights in a week do you think you can do that? Give me a score out of 10. 8, no deal. And I think that's the approach we need to take with health and fitness within parenting as well. Any thoughts to add, you guys both?
Yeah, so I used to be very much the type, before being a parent, the type of person that was like that, being like, I had to train at 10 a.m. If I couldn't train at 10 a.m., then I'm not gonna fucking train at all. Or it's like, I need to be able to do my 2 sessions, otherwise I'm not gonna do it. I was very much like stuck in my structure, stuck in my routine, being like, if it's not the way that I want it, I'm not gonna do it, right? And I think becoming a parent that has been blown out of proportion, it's like, if I have to train on a Thursday because something's happened on a Wednesday, I'm training on a Thursday, and, like, that's all that's gonna happen. If I'm late to pick up Isla, or I couldn't leave the door because Isla didn't want me to leave for 15 minutes, and now my meeting is, in 45 minutes instead of an hour, and I only have 45 minutes, then I'm only gonna run 10K instead of 12, because doing that 10 is better than the 12, you know?
I think important context for you when you first became a parent was that you were very used to being told what to do,
Yeah.
because I was your coach.
Yeah.
And I remember, like, one of the things that challenged us in our coaching relationship was like, I need you to take more responsibility of the training process, because you'd be like, well, if it's not on the program, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah, or if it's on the program, I'm gonna do
Yeah,
it,
you're going to do
even if I
every little
feel
thing,
like,
even if you hate it.
yeah, even if I hate, or even if I'm, like, sore or injured or
Or
whatever.
I feel this is not appropriate. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
basically, I think, because I remember thinking back now, when you wanted to come back, you wanted to come back pretty soon. And you said,
Yeah.
basically, Ed, can you program for me? And we went I remember setting up the parameters. Okay, well, what can we actually do? What's
Yeah.
realistic? And you went from basically 0 sessions to 3 sessions.
Yeah.
And you said, I'll have an hour to train each time. And I remember thinking, like,
Yeah.
that's a big jump up. Like, you were sure, and you were like, nope, we're going to do it. And
Yeah.
obviously you're headstrong, like you wanted to achieve that. And I think just very quickly you realized that
Yeah.
is not
And that's
possible.
part of the reason why we stopped, because I needed to just not have that pressure of, like,
You couldn't
I
deal
couldn't.
with the fact that you couldn't complete your
Yeah.
program,
And so I had to really
which-
take it into my own hands.
which is
Yeah.
honestly what so many people struggle with, especially people who have coaches or they follow online programs. I mean, people struggle with this anyway, right?
Yeah.
I pay for something, therefore if I don't complete it, I'm a failure.
Yeah.
And I think, again, like, parenting is just going to require just this another level of
I have,
ownership and flexibility.
a couple remote clients that parents is on. When they miss a session, I get a message of, I'm so sorry I couldn't complete that.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm okay.
Yeah,
Like,
are you
are
okay?
you
Yeah,
okay? And also,
definitely.
that's okay.
Yeah.
And
They're
it's
like,
also
but I'll
like
catch it up.
then
I'm
yeah.
like, don't.
Yeah.
Like,
Or
need
being
to.
able
yeah,
to then split it up, being like, I'll do half my session now and half my session tomorrow. You've still within the week
yeah,
done the session. Like, who cares? Where it's like nowadays I've been having to train on Sundays because my Saturdays, like I had 1 week a wisdom tooth removed, another week I was fucking hung. That's not an excuse, but I did Saturday and I bring Isla in, but I know with Isla I have 20 minutes of her
yeah.
being able to play on her own before she needs attention. So it's like, okay, no warm up nor nothing. I'm gonna get 20 minutes in. Whatever happens in that 20 minutes, if
Hmm.
she needs me to stop rowing for 10 seconds because she wants to talk to me, that's okay. I've still done something
Yeah,
over nothing, and that's better. Or
yeah.
like if we're like, okay, we're gonna have a family day, let's walk because that's our exercise for the week. Like
Hmm.
we'll walk there instead of taking the MTR, and at least I've done that
Yeah.
instead of sat on the couch and done
Yeah,
absolutely fuck
it's
all.
like this is all taking me back to like the very early stages of Mason being a newborn. I used to take him in a pram to the gym and I would walk for ages around the gym trying to get him to sleep
Mm.
so that I could get him into the gym and I knew I'd have like 20 minutes to do something. And then after that, he would wake up. I'm like, cool, we're walking again. Get back in, go back around and walk, doing all my steps
Yeah.
again. And honestly, for me, that was so much better for myself and my
Mhm.
mental health than doing nothing.
Yeah. And
Uh,
some days it's just, and I remember that as well, like on holidays, because you don't have help. Like I would come and bring her with the full intention of doing the session,
Yeah.
but she just wouldn't go down, or she wouldn't let me put her down so that I could do something.
Yeah.
And it was like, okay, because I used to live in Shangwan, then it's like, it's fine. Now I'm going to walk home. And that's my session for the day.
Yes.
It's like,
Carrying a baby's pretty hard as well.
yeah, or even in a
Yeah.
pushchair, pushing her like an hour, like at least I've still done that walk. And it's like being able to be like, I tried, it didn't happen. I can do something else,
Yeah.
And it's like, I think then it just throwing all your toys out the pram and being like, well, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not doing anything. Like it's a total disservice to yourself.
Yeah. I
Oh,
think, yeah, you go.
I was just gonna add, on top of all this, I think what you guys are talking about, what we've been talking about so far, is this importance of flexibility,
I was
right?
just going to say that.
Yeah, well, it's like
Great
just
mind.
that it's like, okay, I can't do 60 minutes, I'll do 30
Yeah.
minutes. I will also say that in the last 10 weeks, I've skipped more training sessions than I probably have in the last 10 years. Like I've had maybe of the, and this is not going to sound, to someone who doesn't train, this is not going to sound like a lot, but considering like I will generally move 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
The sessions aren't massive, but like there's probably one designated rest day, which I'm still moving on, probably getting 10,000 steps plus. I've had at least 3 weeks where I've only done 3 sessions. I had 1 week where I think I did two. And it was like I had every intention to train that day. And then, just, and there are always days where we didn't have help. The day just gets on and on and on, and you kind of look in the window and it's like, okay, actually, you know what? Today's just not the day it's going to happen.
Yeah.
But totally being okay. Again, that's why I think I'm lucky that I was already kind of in this chapter of life before having our child. If this had happened, I had an unplanned baby and this was 5 years ago, like that would send me into,
Yeah.
disarray.
I think also removing judgment from yourself if you are upset by it. Like because it does happen. It's just that ever going practice of like allowing yourself to giving yourself some grace and being like, okay, well, this actually is annoying that I don't get to do something for myself today. But I'm going to face that, take my judgment aside, allow myself to feel that, and be like, okay, well, I'm gonna try again some other day.
Okay, can I actually just throw a little curveball in there on
Yeah.
this?
Yeah.
Because going into knowing that I was going to become a parent and knowing how hard it felt pre-baby to, train hard, get stronger, get fitter on 8 to 9 hours of sleep
Mm.
with a perfect schedule. I had this like, holy shit, what's going to happen? Like, am
Mm.
I literally going to fall to pieces? Like, I'm already like struggling to walk upstairs. What's going to happen when I have a baby and I've slept like, everyone's telling me I'm going to sleep for 5 hours a night. Like, I genuinely had this, it wasn't like a limiting fear, but it was like, this is going to be very interesting to see what actually happens.
Mhm.
Because then there's other thing where everyone talks about mum strength and dad strength, right? This like phenomenon that you can suddenly become so much more resilient. You can do these hard things that you never thought you'd be able to. So my question to you two is, when you became parents, is that true? Were you surprised at what your body could actually do given the challenges of having a baby? I think sleep being one of the main things, or did it really mess you up?
I used to be the best sleeper.
Yeah,
I
you were a
could
ridiculous
sleep
sleeper.
I'm
anywhere,
the same. I'm
anytime.
a great sleeper.
No, I'm not anymore.
No.
I am the worst sleeper right now. And like we also don't sleep. So I think in the beginning, that was the biggest shock for me, was just the no sleep, because also like I was the one that was up every 2 hours with
Yeah.
Isla, and she hasn't slept since the beginning. Like she's never been a good sleeper. Um
I
and I
feel
was
you.
breastfeeding exclusively the whole time, so there wasn't like sharing that load or anything. Um and the first little bit, because I didn't start training, well actually we started training 8 weeks in. Um I was definitely shocked by how little sleep I actually needed and how little sleep I actually need now. Like some days we'll sleep 2 hours consecutive, the most of the whole night. And I'll come in and I'll still be like back squatting what I would back squat, before, or like being able to do things. And like I said, I was the fittest before I got pregnant, but I can actually say now, 2.5 years later, I'm fitter than that girl was.
Yeah.
And my cumulative sleep and my diet and just even my training is way less than any that I did previously. So it's like, is it the whole I don't even like 2 years later, your hormones are apparently gone. I think it's just your ability to be efficient, your ability to handle pressure, resilience, and just your grit. Like, you've done hard things. This is not fucking hard anymore.
Mm.
And I think that is what the strength comes from. Time and time again, proving to yourself that I can show up, that I can do challenging
Mhm.
things, that I can do hard things. Your bank of just self-worth and
And
self-trust is so
confidence.
high, and your confidence is so high that now you're fitter because of it. I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's what
So
it
your
is.
perception of stress totally changes
It's like
post baby.
you laugh
Yeah.
at people who say they're fucking tired and they've only slept 6 hours a
Well,
day, or like,
I laugh at my previous self.
yeah, you're like,
Yeah.
are you a fucking pussy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Like
get
how
up and fucking do
yeah.
the shit. Like,
Yeah.
that's how it is right now. Like, and
Yeah.
that's what makes you strong, because you're like, I can do anything.
Yeah. I think for me it was a combination of confidence and all of that on top of gratitude. I had so much gratitude for being able to move. So I really thought when I was pregnant and as I was going through pregnancy, and the bigger I got and the heavier I got and the less athletic I felt, that I was never going to feel like an athlete again, or never going to feel like what I felt like myself in higher skills or higher intensity or anything like that. And I really thought that was all just gone forever. And then each week of postpartum, the closer I got to feeling more like myself and feeling more agile and more mobile and more able, a little bit stronger each week, um, the more grateful I felt that I could do that.
Mm.
And for me, the gratitude of, okay, well, these squats are really hard today, but hey, I'm squatting
Yeah.
and they're heavy and it's really nice to be able to do this.
Mm.
So all of that of like, I've got this grit. I haven't slept, but I'm here and I'm so grateful that I have someone being able to watch Mason and I'm able to do this and enjoy it and I'm going to make the most of it.
I think when I first started coaching you, so
Yeah.
you did qualify to semifinals,
Yeah.
which is amazing. Like how you were able to do that
Yeah.
so soon after Mason.
Yeah.
But that's when we had our first call. I had an overwhelming sense of, wow, this girl just is extremely grateful for what she can
Yeah.
do. And I was like, no, really, like, what
She's
do you actually want to get out
so
this weekend?
annoying.
Like, no, I'm just so happy to be here. I'm like, no, but really, come on. And I was
It's
like,
like,
oh,
I just want to have fun. You're like, no, but really.
I'm like, okay, wow, this girl genuinely just wants to be here. I think for me, talking about this whole like getting back to fitness after, I kind of just threw the kitchen sink at it, and I was like, I'm just gonna see what happens, because it was like, well, I've signed up for a 10K, and I did that before the baby came out, and people were going, oh, like that's a pretty dumb idea. Like, how are you gonna be
I
able
was
to do it?
really hoping you would.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're delusional and you thought you might beat me, but I'd like, well, I've signed up for this thing, so I'm going to see it through.
Yeah.
So I have no choice. And I'm actually really grateful for that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, I've never actually done a 10K, so I'm kind of excited to like do this prep. I'd written out a whole program before Mika came out. So I'm like, I'm going to do this thing. And there were so many days where I'm like, am I going to break myself doing this session? But I'm just going to do it. And then the next day rolls around, you're like, oh, I'm actually okay. And then it's kind of like, I just took it day by day. And I kind of just clocked in these sessions that got progressively a little bit harder and a little bit harder, to the point where I'm like, sending it a couple of really hard runs in a week, and I'm feeling great the next day. And I'm kind of just thinking to myself, is this all just going to catch up with me in like 3 months time? Is my body just going to like, I'm just going to disintegrate? But like here I am. I mean, that could still happen, by
I
the
was
way,
just
because
about to say we're
we're
not at
only
3
10
months
weeks
yet.
in.
So touch
But
wood.
but it's like, I think it's exactly what you were saying, is it's like my perception of stress has changed massively.
Yeah.
And I'm just stacking up evidence
Yeah,
every
that you
week
can do
that I
it.
can do it. But I will also admit that it's like my training has reduced.
Mhm.
The intensity is a lot less. Like I haven't done like drop sets or rest pause sets or like truly push to failure like I was multiple times a week pre baby. I keep want to say pre pregnancy, but I didn't have. Although
Technically.
yeah. So like there definitely has been adjustments, and like just general adjustments in my day,
Mhm.
like just getting shit done. I now understand is why you're just so short sometimes, and it's just like, what do you want? This is what I want. Okay, cool, bye. I'm like, damn, she really was just in and out of there. And I get it now. It's
I
like,
don't have time.
She's efficient.
yeah, you don't have time. Like you just become so much more efficient, and you cut the fluff. Like I can already see, I mean, you guys know conversations I've had with both of you about the business moving forward. Just in this last week, I realized it's like I can't just keep on doing everything.
No.
And I've got some very capable people here who can do this as good, maybe even better than me.
Yeah.
Now's the time to do it, because I had time before and I don't have that anymore. So it's time to make some changes. And, I think we all do that in the various, buckets within our lives. It's professional relationships. You start cutting people out that you're like, is this person really serving me? Like if I have one night out a week once a month to go catch up with friends, like who do I really want to spend that time with?
Yeah.
And then, you start cutting those people out. Family, like, okay, like if I get to see my family, what do I want to do? Like, what is the best thing for us to do as a unit?
Yeah.
Is it like go and like, bitch about the news in some really loud restaurant? No, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like, let's do something productive and meaningful that's like allows us all to kill a few birds with one stone.
Yeah. I really think like gratitude and respect of your own time and efficiency, all of those things are just like the priority of all of that just slowly evolved after becoming a parent.
And I just think, because reflecting on myself, the judgmental self and the non-empathetic self, where I didn't understand what other parents were going through, I really try to make an effort to explain what it is that I'm going through and what it is that I need from the people around me. So rather than just cutting people out and them sitting there scratching their heads being like, why have I just been cut out? It's like, I'm going to go out my way to really explain why I've made this decision to not attend this thing, and what I would love from them as my friend or my colleague or my whatever. Because I do know that when people are left in the dark and they're left to try and figure out things and connect the dots themselves, I think that's where things could really break down. Because
assumptions are made.
Assumptions are made, exactly, and bridges can be burnt forever. And this isn't a potentially forever thing. This is a now thing. It's a season of life that I'm going through. I don't know what the next 6 months, 3 years, 10 years is going to look like, but right now, this is what I have the capacity to do. And I'm sure at some point in our lives, that's going to come full circle, and we're going to reconnect, and things are going to change.
And we're going to have 8 hours of sleep a night.
Yeah,
When?
potentially.
Tell me when.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
Can't answer that for you.
Whoa, Jesus Christ. Okay, that was me. This one wasn't on the list, but I think it just came to my mind as we were talking about it. I think a big one, because it's related to what we've just talked about, and we're gonna wrap it up, is one of the biggest myths is I'll never be myself again. And I think that's the one I want to end with. I know you're still in the middle of it.
I would love to hear your answers, because I think as mums,
it's
I
way
think
different.
this question like hits you guys in a very different way.
Yeah.
So
I'm not the same person though. So I truly believed that I would never be the same again. And I was right. And I'm so glad I'm not. Like I've come out through motherhood and through pregnancy and through the multiple challenges, and we've moved countries and everything. And I'm wholeheartedly a much nicer, better, more empathetic, stronger, fitter person than I was pre-Mason. I'm so grateful for how hard it's been and how challenging it's been and the things it's forced me to grow into, because I'm definitely not the same person. And I'm glad.
That's nice. I think I'm still figuring myself out. I think I lost, and it is true that I'm not gonna say for everyone, but I
Mm.
lost myself along
Oh,
the way, like
100%.
in 2 years, and still now there's a lot of me that I've lost, but a lot of the things that I lost are also good things. But it is not. It's very difficult, and when you're in those moments, to be like, "Fuck, I'm never gonna be happy again. I'm
Mhm.
never gonna have time for myself again. I'm never going to love again or laugh again or be able to do things with friends or go on a holiday or just take an hour to myself again without ever feeling guilty or that I'm doing something wrong." I'm still in that. Like, I still constantly have this battle of, I'm out for dinner with my friends, but should I be with my child? Or I'm doing this podcast until 5 o'clock while my daughter's downstairs. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's
Mhm.
still this, like, what is this version of myself? And so, like, I'll wholeheartedly admit I still do feel lost, but this, who I am now coming out of this 2 years, is like what Meg said, a much
Mhm.
better person than I was before my daughter, because I just have so much more purpose. And like I said previously, it's like I do feel fitter because I've trained with more intention instead of,
Yes.
like, I feel like before the baby I was training for the wrong reasons. I was training to prove myself to other people. I was training to look aesthetically a certain way. I was training to punish myself so that I could be skinny.
Mhm.
Whereas, like, now I'm training with much more different reasons and intentions.
Yeah.
Or, like, the people that I want, like what you said, the people I want to hang out with, it's much different. The things that I want to do, like, I'm starting to learn to love life again, starting to love myself again, and all is deep rooted in something that's much more deep. Whereas the person I was before my child was much more surface level. So it's
Mhm.
like, I'm not scared to admit, and everyone is right, that you won't be yourself again and you are going to lose yourself. But I
Yeah.
think it's completely up to you and the people around you to, like, find that person
And what you
again.
build from it,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I was actually talking to Adele about this today as well, about how I can, because the open's coming up, I can remember how I used to feel around the
Mm,
open pre-Mason, and how overwhelmed I would find it in comparison, and the fitness of comparing myself to others, or fitness of trying to prove myself, and prove my worth as a coach and prove my worth as a athlete through competitions like the open. And now, and I said to her, I was like, I actually don't know what changed. And I was like, actually, I think it's just my perspective on life, and my priorities have changed. And since having Mason, I'm feeling grateful and being able to do the open and have fun through it and being able to do everything. It completely changed how I approach just general comparison and general fitness and general judgment on others and myself. Um, so yeah, I'm definitely
Hmm.
on a much different level than what I was before.
I mean, I don't know if there's a parent out there who thinks that they're the same person pre-baby, but I think for me, I guess circumstances was that, I really wanted this. Both myself and Cameron were in a place where we really wanted to become parents. And I
Mm.
just felt like I was at a point in life where I was just so ready for it. I felt like I was really in love with the person that I was, and I felt very ready to pass a lot of those things on to another human being. And so I had thought through quite like meticulously about what this might mean to my life. Now, there's loads of things that have happened that were not a part of that brainstorming thing, that just did not foresee happening. Um, but I think it is such a shock. It's like one day you're not a parent,
Hmm.
and then an hour later you're a parent.
yeah.
And suddenly, one day there's just two of you in a relationship, and the next day there's three. And it's like it's such a sudden aggressive change
Yeah.
that requires such uprooting, and just the learning curve. Oh my God, like I say this all the time. The learning curve of having a child is so ridiculously steep, because the consequences of
Huge.
not you're gonna kill it. You're gonna kill your child. That's the shit that I kept on saying to
Huge.
people. I'm like, it doesn't matter, if I don't figure out how to like use AI in my email, like what's the consequences of that?
Yeah.
Nothing. Not really. I'll be okay. I'll be around tomorrow. But if I don't figure out how to feed my baby, or like, figure out how to put him to sleep and so he doesn't suffocate himself, like there's serious consequences of this, which means that like you better figure your shit out. I remember saying to you, Izzy, I was like, Izzy, when you talk about having a child, you sound like a podiatrist. No, pediatrician. I was getting too mixed. I get
Pediatrician.
it
A
too.
foot
A
doctor?
foot specialist. I'm like, you sound like a pediatrician. Like, And I'm looking at myself, being like, I'm gonna have a baby in like 3 weeks, and I don't know anything.
Yeah.
But like now, I look at what I've
It's through
learned
experience.
so quickly.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
For sure.
so yes, it's like I think going back to the question, it's like, can you be the same person? I was like, no, but I went into this not wanting to be the same person. I was
Right.
so excited to basically have this new challenge of life, and I didn't know how I'd end up. If I was gonna, if I'd be a great dad, or I'd be a terrible dad, or I'd hate this new version of life. But I was just ready and willing. My heart was very open, and I was like, I'm ready to accept anything that comes my way. And I think, when people say, I speak to other dads who are just, fair enough, they're complaining about sleep and how shit they feel. I always just say, like, yeah, it is definitely hard, but I said, this is what I signed up for. So like, I have zero regrets, and I don't want to sound like this is not what I want, because it absolutely is. I saw it through other people, what they went through. And I put my hand up and
Still
said,
wanted it.
yeah, give me that, because I think the great things that come from challenging times are totally worth it.
Yeah.
And that's, courage over comfort is our value on the wall. And it's like, I'm not to say that I got comfortable in my life pre-baby, but I've been doing a lot of those things for a really long time. Like, running a business is hard, but I've been doing it for 16 years. So, that becomes a little bit less hard as you get older. And I was like, well, it's like learning a new sport. Like, you're terrible at it at the start, but then it's so much fun when you start going through the process of it. I think one of the biggest things that I have taken away already is just patience, because I think patience is something that was probably not a strong suit of mine. And having a child, like, you need to be
You're
incredibly
tested.
patient. Yeah. And it's not just patience with your child, it's patience on your relationship, it's
Yeah.
patience on
On
everything.
yourself.
Yeah. And then you said a word there which I think about a lot, which is purpose. It's like, for many years I've questioned, like, what actually is my purpose in the world. And usually my answer is, using this gift and this passion of health and wellness, and helping other people achieve that in their lives. That's kind of like what my purpose has been for up until this point in time. But now the purpose is still that, and that is, what occupies a lot of my day. But my other real purpose is, to raise this child and to have a family. And like, that's really cool. Like,
It's
what
really cool.
what a privilege. Honestly, it's such a privilege to be able to do that. Regardless of what happens down the line, the fact that I get this opportunity to try and do this, with my partner, with our support network, is amazing. So yeah.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun, guys. I don't think we've ever sat down and really talked about our experiences pre, during, and up to now. So I think we were able to debunk a lot of things and people would relate to a lot of things that we're going through. So that was a lot of fun. Thank you.
Yay.
Love it. Thanks, guys. Before we say goodbye, here's one crazy statistic for you. Did you know that almost 40% of people who listen to the show don't actually subscribe to it? Now, I didn't think that was a big deal until I actually learned about the power of hitting subscribe. For you, the listener, you get to stay up to date when we drop episodes on a weekly basis. But for us as a podcast, it really helps our visibility and helps us attract great brands and great listeners to help grow this podcast. So if you enjoyed this episode, or you're a big fan of the show, please do us a massive favor and hit subscribe. Thank you so much.